prior to 2019, I worked in the mental health field, and by training, I have a master's degree in professional counseling. I was an administrator at several different facilities, was a regional director at one point, and had felt that I was missing something in satisfaction, per se. And so the agency I was working at the time had talked about making these training videos because we had an enormous amount of staff, and it was becoming difficult to always train them on the same things, that if we created a video, it would give us more time back. And nobody knew how to make a video, including myself at the time. And that was probably in 2017. But I did have a Canon 80D, so I shot this training video over one of the holiday breaks, and something about making that video and really learning, it felt good. You had this product at the end that you could look at and share with people and feel accomplished that there was this thing done. And in mental health, you don't always have this tangible thing. Like, you see people get better, but in many cases you don't see them fully get better because they may be in one service for a period of time and then another service. And so there was a dissatisfaction with satisfaction in that job for me. And so I tell you that basically because I don't want anybody to watch these videos and think that, you know, oh, here's this guy that has 10, 15, 20 years of experience, and like, oh, I'm so far away from being able to do any of this. Like, no, you can do it. I'm not going to say you can't do it easily, or that it's going to be a cakewalk per se, and that you have to leverage the cards that you have in front of you, but you can. And a part of that is learning what all this stuff is. And in a few of the videos that I've done, not that I've done a lot, and not that a lot of people comment on them, but thank you for everybody that watched, and thank you for everybody that has commented. I get some questions about the stands that I use, and stands were sort of complicated for me when I first started. You know, I think everybody thinks you can just buy this stand and it's going to do everything that you need it to do. And as I've done this, you know, for 4 or 5 years, that's not the truth. And what stands are capable of doing and not capable of doing is important. So today, I'm just going to go over the stands that I use and I have found beneficial, that I had to research and look through a bunch of videos and read a bunch of articles to try to understand. And hopefully maybe this can be a video that you can watch and understand the stands that I use and why I use them. So the first stand we're going to talk about is the C stand. Probably the workhorse of all the stands. They're really good if you're going to plant a light and it doesn't need to be boomed. They're really good at putting a light on top of. I think their load capacity is about 22 pounds, so you have to do a little bit of math to figure out how much the stand can really hold. They're also good for holding flags. If you need to put a flag up, you can use the grip arm. You can also use 2 of them to hold like a 6x6. I do that pretty frequently. What they're not great for is booming lights. I've seen this, or you see it quite a bit on YouTube, and you probably see it in some, like behind the scenes, you'll see like a 300X boomed over some people, and it'll be on the grip arm. And if you look at that arm, that arm is bending, and it's really not meant to be able to take that much weight. There's always the potential that arm could break. What they do make though are boom arms, and boom arms can attach to the top of the C stand, and that boom arm is more rigid and it can take more weight. For instance, I use the Matthews mini boom, so when we're shooting something like a table scene that we need to put a light over top, we'll boom it with the boom arm just for safety reasons. You don't want your lights falling down on anybody. Next light we're going to talk about is the Matthews Baby Junior Triple Riser stand. It is a mouthful, but these are my roller stands. I have 2 of them. These are probably my most used stands. They have a 30-pound load capacity, so it's not that they're carrying more weight, they're just making it more convenient to move the light when we need to move the light. I like to use these if we're going to put a 6x6 up and we're going to move scenes, just because it makes it easier to move that 6x6 around. In one of my previous videos, you probably saw, if you watched it, you probably saw me moving an Aperture 300X with a light dome on it around to get the scenes. They just make moving fast easier, and they feel good, and they have a beefier base to them, so you're not as concerned about the wobble or really having to put a ton of weight on the bottom of the stand to keep it stable. The next stand I'm going to talk about is the Matthews Lowboy Double Riser. You see these stands frequently used for Dana dollies. They are smaller, very heavy stands. They have a load capacity of 72 pounds, which is a ton. I don't think I've ever gotten close to having 72 pounds on any of this stuff. They're not super high. They probably go about 6 foot 4 inches up when you have them fully extended. They are nice if you're trying to keep a smaller footprint. Their base isn't super wide, but they have a lot of weight to them, so you're not super concerned about, again, putting a lot of weight on the bottom of it to keep it steady. These stands tend to have a junior receiver, and this was also something that, you know, as a relatively new person in the filmmaking world, you have to really understand the difference between a junior and a baby pin. For my stand, I have a what they so affectionately call a butt plug, which then turns the junior pin receiver into a baby pin. And baby pin is what you'll see on the C stand. You're going to see it on the triple riser stand. My Lowboy is the only one that I have that has a junior receiver. And so if you have something like a 600X, instead of putting it on a baby pin, you can put it into that junior receiver and tighten it down. And I've done that. These are stands that I like to use if I'm keeping a small footprint and I don't have to put it up super high. If the talent is going to sit there and do an interview, these are great stands to do that with. And then the last light stand I'm going to talk about is this Manfrotto air cushioned stand. I have 4 of these. What's nice about these is that they link together and you can kind of put them all together on your cart or carry them however many you need. They will link up endlessly. I, however, do not recommend these stands. I've had mine for a few years and they have started to definitely show their age. They don't hold together very well. And with the other stands, when you buy a stand like a C stand or a Lowboy, you're buying a stand that's going to last you a really long time. And these air cushion ones are not going to last you a very long time. My advice for when you're buying any of these stands is go with what your budget allows you to go with. You know, a Matthews stand is a really nice stand. They're known in the industry. They feel good to use and they feel solid. But when I didn't have the budget to buy Matthews stands, I bought newer stands. And those newer stands we still keep in our kits because they still work. They do the job of a C stand, and there's nothing wrong with that. Are there some, how it feels when you turn the knobs feels better on the Matthews than the newer? The newer seems to be taking a little bit more rust on than what the Matthews stands are. But, you know, look at your budget and look at what you can afford. But that's my spiel on stands. They're not exciting, but you do need them and you want to use them safely and have the things on set that you, however you can keep your set safe, I think is probably the takeaway here when you're looking at stands and how to keep everybody safe and what can a stand hold and carry and will it meet your needs. I haven't had any behind the scenes stuff come out, and that is because January and February for me is usually the slowest time of the year, and March and April is the busiest time, or at least the first busiest time of the year. We do an award ceremony that we do about 30 to 35 interviews and film some surprises of teachers winning some awards. I will try to get as much behind the scenes of that as I can. Those move pretty fast, but hopefully I'll be able to get back to the showing you what I do on a normal day-to-day basis. But thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.